Brandy, our focus yesterday, the selection of the Australian squad as we move on from the grand final. Your first reaction to a squad that includes 5 newcomers: Selwyn Cobbo, Tom Flegler, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, Katoni Staggs and Payne Haas. So Staggs has jumped ship, has made himself available for Australia.
Yep.
But Stephen Crichton hasn't. Stephen Crichton has been picked in the Samoan squad.
That's right. So both teams have been named. So there's still the Kiwis are still yet to name theirs, Vossy, which I'll be interested in seeing what they do. We sort of touched on their problems with a dummy half, and might have landed on Phoenix Crossland, who was born in New Zealand, so he can represent New Zealand. Look, Murray Taulagi was part of the World Cup squad last year.
Yep.
Missed the boat there, but is playing for Samoa. Should we bring in a rule where you have to nominate who you're going to represent, or are you happy with just the mix and match? If you miss out on one, you go to the other. Are we happy with that, or do we get the best players playing the game in that situation, or do we think that you have to nominate who you're going to play for at the end of season tests, which look like they will become a regular thing?
Well, Brandy, we've reached the crossroads, because if you're going to say that Samoa are now, well, if you make them tier 1, you are retiring from State of Origin, Crichton, To'o, Junior Barlow, the likes. They can't play Origin. If Samoa if Samoa graduate to a tier 1 nation, the Origin draw or opportunity is slam shut. The door slams shut. You cannot play State of Origin for New South Wales because you are representing a tier 1 nation. Just as if you are a New Zealand representative, Adam Fanua-Blake, you cannot, having played a test way back, you cannot play Origin. Are you comfortable with that, Brandy? Would you be comfortable
Victor
with
Radley
that?
also falls into that too, doesn't he?
Yes.
Hasn't played Origin.
He's already there. He can't now.
Yeah.
So he's tier 1. But what about Samoan representatives, Brandy? Would you be happy with To'o, Crichton and co no longer being allowed to play for their state?
Having to make a choice between one or the other. Yep. I don't know. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that, Vossy. But are Samoa a tier 1 nation? And
they're not at the moment. No.
They're not at the moment.
No.
But isn't the criteria for becoming a tier 1 nation something that Samoa will never reach?
The domestic
in terms
competition.
Of the pathways, the juniors,
See, the other thing you did, if you said that Samoa is tier 1 nation, and Brian To'o said, well, I'm picking Origin, then Brian To'o becomes back an Australian. Like he could then be picked for Australia because he's pledged his allegiance this way. It is a dilemma. It
is a dilemma because it's unique. It's a situation where we find ourselves in with a lot of the. What is the percentage now of Pacific Islanders playing in the NRL? Is it 50%?
It's big.
I think it's close to 50%.
Big and
so those
bigger.
with any heritage, Tongan, Samoan, Fijian, at the moment are allowed to play for those countries and play State of Origin. I don't know if I change that.
Now, we always focus on players who miss out. Dylan Edwards and Reece Walsh have both done enough this year to be picked in this side. If they were picked, you're not arguing, but where do you put them? But I still say, look, if Tom Trbojevic is fit, if Latrell Mitchell is fit, they get to play a position they don't play in their club sides. Well, then I'm saying right now, I honestly believe Tedesco gets bumped to the centres. I really do. I think James Tedesco plays in the centres because Dylan Edwards' case to be picked, even ahead of Reece Walsh, Dylan Edwards is 3 years of absolute excellence. Absolute excellence. He should be an Australian representative. He is in our top 20-odd players. You find a way to get him into the team. I don't think... I'll go as far as saying there's not one player in that back line who deserves, in the three-quarter line I'm talking about, who deserves a place more than Dylan Edwards. Not one of them. Not one. Congratulations, Selwyn Cobbo, for being picked. And Val Holmes has been included, and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. But if you're telling me Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow deserves to be picked more than Dylan Edwards, you're cracking jokes.
Yeah, but the Hammers, Origin series where he played centre.
Yes.
Well, it was very good.
Yes.
Very good.
And then for the rest of the year, though, he plays more fullback. I'm saying if you're prepared you make way for Dylan Edwards.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Cannot be denied now. He's not just banging the door down. He's ripped the door off the hinges, Brandy. A bloke cannot do any more than Dylan Edwards to be picked for Australia. I'm on the Dylan Edwards bus this morning.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I agree with that, but I just... And good players have missed Australian squads in the past. There's been good players that have missed Australian squads. Do you pick him in a position that he hasn't played since he was a young player on the wing?
Well, all these blokes do get. All these, we do. We pick a side of this. We're going to pick them all over the place. I'm saying if Trbojevic was available, he's playing centre for Australia. No, he doesn't play centre. He doesn't play. When's the last time he played centre for Manly? He doesn't play any centre.
No, it doesn't.
So if the pass mark to play centre for Australia is playing 1, 2 or 3 Origin games in the middle of the year, well then Dylan Edwards can fit in anywhere. You find a spot for Dylan Edwards as well. But I'm of the belief that James Tedesco is the player that should be playing centres, which he has done at international level previously. And it is Dylan Edwards who should be the number one for Australia. But
yeah,
I'm saying I can find room for Dylan Edwards. And you say great players have missed before. I don't think any player more qualified has missed an Australian jersey than Dylan Edwards. I think he is now in the unluckiest player category that I've ever come across.
Okay, so loyalty has been mentioned quite a number of times during this process over the last 2 months when we've been talking about the Australian squad being named. How far does your loyalty stretch? Well, the fact that Australia... When was the last time Australia got beaten? That certainly helps the loyalty card.
Yes,
yeah,
that's right.
You can't remember.
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, yeah.
So if Australia get beaten in that semi-final, which they went awfully close, so Australia get beaten by New Zealand in the semi-final and don't make the final of the World Cup last year, does loyalty mean the same thing? Or does...
Great point.
Or Australia not making a World Cup final means that we change the side? No, I think that would be the case. Yeah. But we haven't lost.
Yeah, so I think our last defeat is 2018 against New Zealand in Auckland. Was that the test? I think the test that Dallin Watene-Zelezniak skippered New Zealand, 2018 in Auckland. They won 26-24.
Okay, that's a while.
That'd be the last one?
And probably. I would say so. Well, we haven't... representative of Australian football did it tough through the COVID period, so there hasn't been many test matches.
Well, I'll throw it out there rather than put you on the spot. We'll see if the listener can come up with a player unluckier than Dylan Edwards. If you can come up with a player unluckier than Dylan Edwards at the moment has not played Origin, has not played Test football. Yet if you wrote down right now your top 10 players from the last 1, 2, 3 years, Dylan Edwards is in that list. I'm saying... right now, he is the unluckiest player when it comes to rep football all time. Listener, come up with more that never got to play rep footy, which is confronting Dylan Edwards at the moment. You know, he
what
might
about
get a look in anyway.
Kalen Ponga? So
he's played Origin already. At least he's played Origin.
I'm not talking about. Talking about the unluckiest player. I'm just talking about Kalen Ponga. End of story. Should he be in the squad?
Is he got a shoulder problem? I don't know.
Well, I don't know how bad the shoulder is. Like, I don't know whether they've said, look, no.
Is it as bad as Latrell Mitchell's finger? What a remarkable story. I want to move you on to Latrell Mitchell.
Yep.
It feels like, can I give an observation? When we get round to Latrell Mitchell, it feels like and maybe this is just stigma attached and it doesn't actually exist, but I have this feeling that whenever anyone wants to talk about Latrell Mitchell, be it media commentator or fan on open line, you're walking on eggshells. You've got to protect him. And there seems to be this leap to his defence. South Sydney have done that again yesterday. That we're not allowed to talk about Latrell Mitchell. We're not allowed to make any observations. We're not allowed to criticise participation in the Curry knockout. There's always... the blowback is always so strong in defence of Latrell Mitchell that it's like... there's got to be something's not right here.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. did I find it strange that Latrell was ruled out? Now, and I think Mal's blaming South Sydney, but there's consultation between the player and the club. It's not. Well, Latrell, you've been ruled out of the Australian side. Like if Latrell wanted to play, Latrell would have said, "No, I want to play. Let's sort the finger out, and if it doesn't need surgery, well, I'll play for Australia."
There was no surgery. That's confirmed.
No, I know
that was confirmed
no
by South Sydney yesterday. There was no surgery.
I know there was no surgery. So did Mal find it surprising Latrell lined up to play in the Koori knockout? No, I think he only played 10 minutes. I think he played 10 minutes of one half.
Yeah,
but still played. Yeah, still played. Yeah.
That's not a go.
South
For
Sydney
me,
also.
I'm sorry. I am not disrespecting the culture. Latrell Mitchell could have attended the Koori knockout and been the biggest attraction there and done all the photos and autographs. But as a paid employee of the South Sydney club with a serious finger injury, that is the reason why he's not playing for Australia. He should not have taken the field, be it for 1, 2, 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. He can't. He just can't do that.
Again, I'm going to agree with you there. The South Sydney also put up one of the reasons why, that he's got a magistrate's hearing on October 30 for the wrestle with Jack Whiten.
Never heard that before.
And he needed to prepare and focus on that. How much time do you think Latrell will spend focusing on a magistrate's hearing for him and Jack having a wrestle and him resisting a wrestle?
No, literally, it's an hour meeting. It's an hour meeting sitting down. It's an hour meeting that could be done in 15 minutes because he won't be before the courts. He won't say anything. So, yeah, I'm saying because there would be a meeting involved, Brandy. That could be done Zoom, of course, but I'm thinking it's face-to-face where legal counsel will sit down, talk him through, this is how it's going to play out, this is what our approach is, and I'll handle it. That's pretty much how it would probably go.
I think so.
That could take 15 minutes, but in real terms, you set aside an hour for that. So that's just unbelievable. That's ridiculous from South Sydney. That's absolutely ridiculous to throw that in as a contributor to not representing your country. South Sydney, you are cracking jokes. So there you go. I've walked on eggshells. I've finished. I'm just picking out the eggshell from my feet. I've made my comment on it, but that's the situation. 1300 01 1170. You can call 0457736736 on the text. Valentine Holmes. Now I'm going to throw you. Should he be picked for Australia? In light of what he is guilty of, in a Cowboys statement, Valentine Holmes, because he's been given a one-game ban, which he gets to serve for his country, and a $25,000 fine, he says, "I'm deeply sorry for the damaging effect of my decisions have had on the club and my family. My actions, while not illegal, were immature and irresponsible. I'm determined to restore the confidence and trust of the club as well as our stakeholders, members and fans." Should Valentine Holmes be picked for Australia?
No.
I say no.
No. I don't think he should have either. I think this, and you've just spoken about Dylan Edwards. This was the perfect opportunity for Mal to bring in someone who has had a great season, 3 great seasons, and pick Dylan Edwards instead of Valentine Holmes. I should have said, Val, you're not available for the first game. You can have a rest for this championship. You have a rest. And,
you have a rest. And James Tedesco can play centre for that first game, and Dylan Edwards wears the Australian number one jersey proudly for Australia because he deserves it more. He deserves it more. So I'm clear cut on all these things today. Val Holmes should not have been picked. Latrell Mitchell situation is a circus, and Dylan Edwards has to be picked in the Australian squad. I'm absolutely clear cut on all the big issues of today.